Good morning and welcome to New Mexico Rising, your go-to lifestyle show for everything happening right now across the state. I'm Kayla, and this week we've got this.
They're designed to reduce damage, protect people inside, and help communities recover quicker after disasters like hurricanes or wildfires. Investing in modern building codes up front can make a huge difference.
You have to make sure that you're going for an iron supplement with external validation because you don't know what's in there. It can be completely ineffective. So what I do is I look for the ones with big clinical trials, and I always tell parents, go to your doctor, ask your physician, let them give you a supplement recommendation.
And then to see the moms letting go of the steering wheel, and saying, okay, yes, take care of me for once, thank you, was just so special. It honestly, it's such an honor and a joy to be part of this with them. Oh, I will never forget it. I'll never stop being grateful. I'm not over it. We were filming for 6 months and I'm not over it.
It was successful. I learned a lot about squatters and I out-squatted them. I figured if they could take a house, I could take a house.
You don't have to be familiar with the series at all. You can come to this fresh. You will see the history that we have as characters. You'll see our relationship. You'll see our expertise, and then also you have this story of what's happening now.
I love this story. I love the mystery sequence, which is the first 35 minutes. And then, of course, it's pure action for the rest of the film. I just like the story, the character development, the way in which it's kind of like 3 or 4 films in one.
All that and more right here on New Mexico Rising.
Most people would probably say they want to keep their natural teeth as long as possible, but apparently a lot of us don't really know who to call when something actually goes wrong. A new survey out during Save Your Tooth Month is looking at what Americans misunderstand about tooth loss, root canals, and even how dental infections can affect overall health. Dr. W. Craig Noblett, president of the American Association of Endodontists, is joining us this morning. Good to have you here, doctor. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing great. This survey says people feel very strongly about saving their natural teeth. Why do you think that connection is so emotional for people?
Well, I think if you think about it, your smile is really central to your self-image. Also, your natural teeth are how you eat, so maintaining your nutrition is important. And also, your speech is affected by the position of your teeth or presence of your teeth. So if we lose any, it affects all of those things. Your smile, your ability to chew, and your ability to speak. So it's important to preserve your natural teeth.
So what surprised you most about how Americans answered some of these survey questions?
Well, I think, we've definitely seen an upswing in the number of people who say they would like to preserve their natural teeth. And I think part of that is a reflection of increased awareness that there are procedures available to them or options that can help them preserve a natural tooth rather than having it removed.
And a lot of people think of a tooth infection as just kind of a dental issue, but there's bigger health conversation tied to some of this. That's correct, right?
Absolutely. If you have an infection, it can affect your whole body health, your metabolism, can affect your ability to eat and maintain your nutrition again. So you definitely want to get those addressed sooner rather than later, because if they are left untreated, they can become a really serious emergency.
And I think most people hear the word endodontist maybe once in their life and immediately panic. What does an endodontist do, and how is that different from your regular dentist?
Well, endodontists are dentists who go through 2 or 3 years of additional training after dental school to specialize in root canal-related procedures. And so that's all we do is root canal treatment. But we are the specialists who can help you preserve and save your natural teeth.
And beyond the obvious chewing food part of life, what role do healthy natural teeth really play in overall health and quality of life?
Well, again, a healthy mouth allows you to eat properly, speak properly. And again, your smile is part of your personality and reflects your self-image. So we want to help you preserve all that natural equipment.
So where can people go if they want to learn more?
Yeah. Well, the best place is to meet with an endodontist and ask all your questions. And you can find an endodontist in your area by visiting findmyendodontist.com.
Dr. Noblett, I really want to thank you for joining me today.
Well, thank you for having me.
A
lot of parents worry about whether their kids are getting the right nutrition. And doctors say iron is one thing that sometimes can get overlooked. Iron deficiency is common in children, especially picky eaters, and it can affect energy, focus, and healthy growth. Joining us now is Dr. Gabriella Dauer, pediatrician and founder of Dauer Pediatrics, to help parents understand the signs and what they can do. Welcome, doctor.
Hi, good morning. Thanks so much for having me.
How common is iron deficiency in kids?
It's pretty common. I'm seeing this so much as a pediatrician. And when we think about iron deficiency, it's pretty common all over the world. It's estimated that about 1 in 5 of us are actually walking around functioning on subpar iron levels. And if you've ever heard about anemia, low hemoglobin, about a quarter of the world's population is anemic. And most of those causes are from iron deficiency. So it is definitely out there.
And what are some signs parents should watch out for?
Absolutely. So for iron deficiency, it can be pretty subtle to start. So when I talk to parents, I want to know, are they slower than their friends when they're playing outside? Are they maybe having dizziness, headaches, feeling short of breath or faint, fatigued, weakness, especially pallor, right? If you're starting to look a little bit more pale than usual, those are signs and symptoms that I would definitely bring up with your doctor.
And what are some common myths about iron supplements?
Oh, there's so many myths. I hear so much as a pediatrician and a mom these days. But, one of the biggest things I'm hearing about is about the FDA regulating these supplements. And the supplement market's pretty unregulated. So you have to make sure that you're going for an iron supplement with external validation because you don't know what's in there. It can be completely ineffective. So what I do is I look for the ones with big clinical trials. And I always tell parents, go to your doctor, ask your physician, let them give you a supplement recommendation.
And Novaferrum, tell us a little bit about what it's made for.
Absolutely. So Novaferrum makes an iron supplement for all ages. That's one we take. That's one my kiddos take. And it's for people with low iron or iron deficiency anemia. And if you've ever had to give an iron supplement to a kid, you know that it tastes pretty terrible. It can have GI side effects too, like constipation, bloating. So when I found this one, it's made from, monk fruit, chocolate, which my kid loves, has, berry flavors, and the ingredients are softer on the gut. So less GI side effects. That was a huge for us. Ease of giving it to my kiddo. And biggest thing for me as a pediatrician, safety, right? I want to make sure that a brand like Novaferrum is safe, and it is the only one on the market that's been clinically proven to be safe. It's effective. It's well tolerated. They have this multi-year clinical trial. For me, that's what matters to me as a scientist and a mom.
And where can our viewers go to learn more?
Absolutely. So they have a website, great resource for parents, novaferrum.com. Has a lot of info on iron deficiency too. You can find it on their website. You go to Amazon, find their product, and at select pharmacies as well.
Dr. Dauer, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a wonderful day.
It's not every day you see daughters planning their mom's wedding, but that is exactly what this new series is all about. Mom the Bride flips the script and follows women helping their moms celebrate love later in life, from dress fittings to the big day itself. Erin Cahill hosts the series on Hallmark Plus, and she's joining us now. Erin, it's great to see you. How are you?
Hi, it's great to see you, Dan. Thanks for having me.
All right, this idea really flips the traditional mother of the bride role, but what stood out to you in this concept?
Oh, well, what you just said, it's really flipping the script on weddings. We're used to seeing, it's right there in the intro. We're used to seeing moms plan their daughters' weddings, but to see the daughters have the opportunity to do this for their mothers is honestly one of the sweetest things I've ever experienced in my life.
And each episode, it follows a different family. What kind of stories or moments can viewers expect to see?
Well, so it's 6 real mothers and daughters, 6 real weddings. And what you can expect to see is everything you would anticipate with a wedding. The excitement, the stress, but also like inspiration and joy. And you can expect surprises in every episode. We really set our mind to surprising the brides and the families. And it is such a joy-filled ride, and it's all the emotions. That's the other thing you can expect. You can expect happiness, tears, laughter, and being really touched.
And you mentioned there's a lot of emotion packed into this. What surprised you the most while working with these moms and daughters?
I was pleasantly surprised at how much it meant to everybody. I knew, in my heart that would be the case, but to see these daughters just want to get it so right for their moms, and then to see the moms letting go of the steering wheel, and saying, okay, yes, take care of me for once, thank you, was just so special. It honestly, it's such an honor and a joy to be part of this with them. Oh, like I will never forget it. I'll never stop being grateful. I'm not over it. We were filming for 6 months and I'm not over it.
And you've been part of so many Hallmark projects. How does hosting a series like this compare to acting in one?
Oh, I've never experienced anything like this in my life. I've never done anything, unscripted in this way. And so to get to, to get to go to work every day. I say work because it was such a joy, but to get to go to work and be part of this. I mean, I got to go to cake tastings and dress fittings and go to pick out venues. And it was such a blast. It didn't feel like work. It just truly felt like a gift. And I fell in love with each one of these families so purely. So by the time the weddings came around, I was like,
And the show really celebrates love a little later in life and
Yes.
family connection. What do you hope people take away after watching?
oh, I love that. I hope that people feel inspired by what you just said, that connection, that family bond. I hope people feel, mothers and daughters for sure. Of course, I hope you get related back to your own love and you're like, oh, you want to call your mom and say, I love you. Or, mothers call their daughters and say, I love you. But really it's about the whole family. I hope that people just feel so inspired about love and connection and family and celebrating that.
Erin Cahill, I really want to thank you for joining us today. Mom's the Bride is now streaming on Hallmark Plus, so you can watch the full series pretty much any time you feel. All right, Erin, I want to thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Dan.
Chances are you don't think much about what goes into keeping your home or workplace safe. But behind the scenes, building codes and safety professionals are working every day to protect the places we rely on, especially when it comes to disaster preparedness and making spaces accessible for everyone. Let's take a look.
Construction crews across the country are building stronger, safer homes and businesses guided by codes created by the International Code Council, or ICC. May is Building Safety Month, now in its 46th year, highlighting the impact of the ICC and the building codes and professionals behind them. CEO John Belsick says this year's theme, Built to Last, kicks off with simple ways you can get involved.
Building safety starts at home because that's where people spend most of their time. We often see that small issues like overloaded outlets, loose handrails, or blocked exits can turn into serious risks if they're not addressed. Building codes are a commitment to community safety. Many home dangers are preventable. Understanding common household hazards and prioritizing regular maintenance can protect families and their neighbors.
The ICC also highlights the professionals who help put those building codes into practice.
There's a whole network of professionals working behind the scenes, including inspectors, permit technicians, engineers, and code officials, and others. They make sure buildings are safe long before anyone walks through the door. These professionals identify potential risks early and ensure structures meet building codes to protect people every single day.
Another major focus this year is resilience, especially as communities face more severe weather and natural disasters. The ICC says modern codes can help support faster recovery after disaster strikes.
They're designed to reduce damage, protect the people inside, and help communities recover quicker after disasters like hurricanes or wildfires. Investing in modern building codes up front can make a huge difference.
Another important element, designing spaces for everyone to utilize and enjoy.
Communities Without Limits means designing buildings and public spaces that are usable, intuitive, and welcoming for people of all ages and abilities.
The ICC encourages you to get involved and has shareable resources on buildingsafetymonth.org. You can submit proclamations, join local community gatherings, reach out to local representatives to advocate for the latest codes, and more.
Most people think it could never happen to them until somebody suddenly takes over a property and the legal process turns into a total nightmare. A&E series Squatters follows Flash Shelton and his team as they help homeowners reclaim their homes in some pretty tense and emotional situations. Flash pretty much first got in this world after dealing with some squatters in his own family home, and now he's helping people across the country. Welcome to the show, Flash. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Okay, your story started when squatters took over your mom's home. What was that experience like for your whole family?
I kept it from my family actually, until later, but I couldn't tell my mom. My dad had just passed away, and I moved her in with me to sell her home and to help her have a fresh start and, closer to family. But navigating that situation and learning all about squatters is what I needed to do to just be the good son. And so, my family, I couldn't tell my mom. She was still distraught over my dad. I just told her that I needed a lease so I could go up and be on the property to do some repairs. And, it was successful. I learned a lot about squatters and I out-squatted them. I figured if they could take a house, I could take a house.
And now that the show is out, what kind of reaction have you been getting from some of the viewers?
Everyone's excited. And, I think that the fact that the awareness is, it's teaching people what a squatter is and that they are normal people. They are just entitled and figured, that there's a flaw in the system. They should be able to take advantage of it. I think, people truly understanding that squatters are not homeless people. So squatters and a homeless in a housing crisis have nothing to do with each other.
And some of these situations on the series tend to be really intense. Was there one case in the season that surprised even you?
Yeah, I mean, I had a case where, there's several people and, I'm always hearing that, they're drug dealers or they're, committing crimes on the property or something. And, a lot of times it's I have to look into it and I don't find any evidence of that. But in other cases, we just have to go in extremely careful. I don't want anyone to get hurt, including a squatter. So I think that the fact that, it's just there are different types of cases every single day and different stories. So at this point, it's like, I don't know that anything surprises me.
And what do most people misunderstand about the squatting laws and how difficult these situations can become for homeowners?
I think that there is a misconception about squatter laws and tenant laws. Tenant laws in a lot of states were written under the, guides that a homeowner is rich and a tenant is poor. But anyone who owns a home knows that just because you own a mortgage doesn't make you rich. And tenants are not all poor. Some people just choose to rent. So, it's I think that there's a misconception about the laws themselves and the fact that there is no line between a squatter and a tenant. So squatters are assuming tenant rights.
And after helping in more than 100 cases, what advice would you give homeowners to help protect themselves before something like this happens to them?
Documentation, like being able to document when an intruder enters and how they enter. In today's day and age, there is no excuse not to have a camera that you can monitor from your phone anywhere in the world. When somebody walks up your driveway, you get alerted. When somebody goes into your mailbox, you get alerted. If you can monitor when they enter, they are now arrested as a trespasser and they will never become your squatter.
Flash Shelton, I really want to thank you for joining me today. You can catch episodes of Squatters now on A&E with streaming available on the A&E app and at ANETV.com. Flash, thanks for joining me again today.
All right, thanks for having me.
A lot of action franchises try to go bigger every time, but Jack Ryan Ghost War is also digging into trust, loyalty, and what service really costs. The new film continues the world's fans already know while standing on its own for people jumping in fresh. And joining us today is the legendary Wendell Pierce, who returns as James Greer. Wendell, it's great to have you on the show, my friend. How are you?
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, James Greer has always been one of the most grounded characters in this world. What do you enjoy most about stepping back into him for Ghost War?
The character of James Greer really reflects some of the people that I met doing the research of this character. Real CIA officers, retired, who have kind of given me their true north to form a more perfect union, and some of the debate that they have within the agency, and but understanding that the shared idealism of working on the mission, which is to form a more perfect union and protect that. Those are shared values. And so stepping back into the role, that's the thing that I'd love to portray. As an actor, you're a student of human behavior. And what you want to do is create the world so strong that it induces that behavior. And that's the great thing about reliving a role like James Greer.
One thing John Krasinski mentioned is that the story works for both longtime fans and for people who've never watched the series. Was that something you felt like while you were making it too?
Oh, absolutely. You don't have to be familiar with the series at all. You can come to this fresh. You will see the history that we have as characters. You will see our relationship. You will see our expertise. And then also you have this story of what's happening now, this casual act that I ask a favor of Jack Ryan to do for me that actually ignites a global espionage chase. And so it is one of those things that people who have seen the series can come to and appreciate the next level of where we take the characters, and people who come to this fresh and new. But what we do over the course of a series, put into a 2-hour movie, is just heightened and it makes it a lot more intense.
And you said it's been heightened, it's more cinematic, a little bigger, but it also keeps the political and moral tensions that Tom Clancy's stories are known for. What kind of balance does this film strike between action and some of the character?
Well, you know, I think it's very important. I'm very proud of the fact that we keep the debate happening about the clarity of mission and clarity of what values are, and the political debate that happens around that, because that is happening within the world, what happens within the agency, and it makes you, as the viewer, look at it and decide what your values are. You know, I mean, that's the forum of what filmmaking should be about, the place where we collectively come together, reflect on who we are, decide where we want to go, decide what our values are, maybe bring that into our lives. And so I love that we have that debate, and at the same time have some of the best cinematic thrill sequences of action comparable to the French Connection and Marathon Man and all of that, you know. So I'm very proud of the cinematic and the debate that happens within the film.
And fans, they know you from so many incredible roles from over the years, but there's something about Greer that people really connect with. What do you think keeps audiences invested in this character and this franchise?
I try to make James Greer a everyman. You know, that people look at it and go, there but by the grace of God go I. You know, that they can see themselves in James Greer. He's a man of pragmatism. He's a family man. He's flawed as he tries and did not succeed in keeping his family together. But with all of that, he is principled. And he attempts to hang on to his principles and values. And people will see themselves in that, you know. Not someone who's perfect, but someone who's pragmatic and at least tries to live by some sort of moral code. And that's who we all are, and that's who we are when we dream of who we can become. So that's the thing that makes him prescient, you know, and personal. And that's what I pride myself on when I try to portray him.
Yeah, thanks for being here today. Jack Ryan, Ghost War premieres May 20th on Prime Video. Wendell Pierce, I want to thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
A quiet little town, a substitute sheriff, and a bank robbery that turns into something way bigger than anybody expected. You know, that's the setup for Normal, the new neo-Western thriller starring Bob Odenkirk. He joins us to talk about playing Sheriff Ulysses, working with director Ben Wheatley, and why this story keeps taking turns you don't see coming. Welcome to the show, Bob. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. Good to see you.
All right. What grabbed you first about Normal? Was it the character, the mystery, or just
it was exactly that. It was the mystery. You know, a lot of action films, they start with the action as quick as possible, and then they just stay in action as much as possible with very little character development or story. But this story that Derek Kolstad told me about a small town in the Midwest, and they have money, and there's no obvious reason why. And then it all explodes, and we learn their secret. I love this story. I love the mystery sequence, which is the first 35 minutes. And then, of course, it's pure action for the rest of the film. I just like the story, the character development, the way in which it's kind of like 3 or 4 films in one. And so I said, let's do that one. Let's try to make that happen. We were very lucky to get Ben Wheatley, a great director who's made many films, Free Fire, High Rise, Kill List, a lot of action films, but he always has character in all of his films, a lot of people that you can relate to. And so he was the perfect man for the job.
And Sheriff Ulysses, it feels like somebody's just trying to keep it together while everybody around him is kind of unraveling. What did you enjoy most about playing that character?
Well, I like playing a guy who's my age. Now, that doesn't sound like much to you, but I was Saul Goodman for, essentially 8 or 9 years. And Saul was younger than me by a lot. He was 10, 15 years younger than me. And I like playing Ulysses in the movie Normal because Ulysses has seen a lot of life and he's a little bit worn down by it. And I related to the guy. I liked him. And I liked his sense of humor. He had a smile. Things made him laugh. And so, yeah, I like playing the character.
And this movie has this grounded small town feel, but there's a lot of tension that's just like bubbling underneath the surface.
Yeah.
What was it like building that tone with Ben Wheatley?
That's the part that I worked on the most. And it's one of the reasons I get a story by credit on this film is because I helped build out the story of that small town. Normal is the actual name of a town, Normal, Illinois. And the movie was originally called The Interim, as in interim sheriff, part-time sheriff, or fill-in sheriff. And I said, let's call it Normal, because that's the kind of town. And Derek knew what I was talking about because he's from Wisconsin. That's the kind of town in the Midwest that we want to describe. These small towns they've been hit pretty hard by the economy in the last 40 years. They lost their factory. They have factory farms that have taken over the smaller farms. And I wanted to tell the story of one of those towns that's somehow chanced upon this money.
And once the audience settle into this story, it kind of starts escalating in a lot of unexpected ways. What are you most excited for people to experience when they start to watch it?
Well, it's really a fun movie to watch with a group. If you're going to rent Normal, have some people over, have some friends over. The way in which the story shifts, as you point out, it changes. It's like tectonic plates shifting. The whole vision of what you're looking at becomes a different world. And all those moments where what happens to Henry Winkler and what happens with the champagne cork and what happens after that, those things get the audience going. Those are things to experience with a group. It's been a great, fun film to watch with other people.
All right. I really enjoyed the movie. It was such a blast. I had a fun time with that. Normal is available now on all digital platforms and will be available anywhere you rent movies. Bob, I want to thank you for joining me today, my friend.
Yeah, man. Good to be here. Thanks.
And that's going to do it for this week's episode of New Mexico Rising. Thanks so much for being here with us today. Be sure to check out our website at newmexicorising.com, follow us on social media at New Mexico Rising, and head over to YouTube at NM Rising to catch anything you might have missed. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next week on New Mexico Rising.